we'll focus on a very important aspect of web panel logic, the way in which GeneXus determines which tables to navigate in order to load data into the screen. And we'll do this to understand why sometimes we're convinced that GeneXus should be doing one thing and it's actually doing another. Usually this happens because we did not pay attention to a certain part of the panel that causes the unwanted behavior. We'll divide our object of study into web panels with no grid, with one grid, and with several grids. Web panels with no grids. Here's an example where we have attributes in the form and one variable. And here we see it at runtime. This is the data of a tourist attraction received by parameter in the context of the application for a travel agency with which we've been working on most of the videos. Web panels with one grid. This is an example in which the grid has attributes and the fixed part of the web panel has only variables, used mostly to filter the data, as we see here at runtime. But there's also a mixed case, where we have attributes in the grid and also in the fixed part. In this case, we're looking at the name of the country whose identifier is received in a parameter with all its tourist attractions. We can also filter by attraction name. Web panels with several grids. Here's an example where we add a grid to the previous case to show the country's cities, not only its tourist attractions. But we do it in a parallel grid, so the information from each grid will not be related to one another, as we can clearly see at runtime. And as another case of web panels with multiple grids, here's also the information of a country with its cities and tourist attractions, but this time displayed as nested grids. Therefore, the information will be related, as we'll see at runtime, and for each city in the country, its own tourist attractions are shown. We'll take each of these cases as a basis to study how it's determined whether or not there will be a base table, and if so, the required navigation to retrieve the data.